floor is always the floor is always open for any kind of topic that comes up. Don't hesitate to engage with me. Robin will see you, I won't, but you can wave down and make sure that you participate as fully as it can work for you to receive the teaching. The teaching is that you have a false identity that suffers, and you've believed it your whole life, right? And so we're looking at what is waking up really about? Waking up is really about losing the idea of being the me that got created with your early womb. When we have many stories, all of them lead to the same error, and that error is an idea of who you are that's based on experience early in the incarnation. Sometimes it can be in the womb. You know, I'm unclear about this life between life stuff. I don't know about that. But I do know that once you've incarnated into this particular 3D reality, that you're caught in a frequency of fear that's underpinned by duality, good and bad, right and wrong. That was the nature of what is pointed to in the literature as the fall. So what happens for us individually is that we show up, we incarnate, we're in this little precious body-mind unit, right? Gaga goo thing. And then something happens, and instead of having our attention with ourselves, our attention is magnetized into the external, looking like a mommy who's not breastfeeding us, or a daddy that shows up and then yells at mommy. Something gets our attention from out there. When that happens, our attention particles are out instead of with us. And with that dynamic, we believe it means something about us. That gets installed. That installation gets repressed. That installation can look like anything from I don't matter to I'm a piece of shit, or I'm not good enough, or whatever it is. It's some conclusion about a me. And it creates exactly that. It creates an identification as a me. This is me and I'm not good enough, or this is me and I don't matter. And often it has many of those facets that reflect the same kind of thing. What waking up is the realization that that's not who I am. That's what I have. And it's this distinction that underpins the process that all of us who have been on the spiritual path for however long have been on our way to. It's that simple, and it's not, the nature of reality is spiritual. The quantum field proves that. And so we can stop making these kind of divisions between ordinary life where I make money and have a family, and my spiritual life when I meditate and own myself into an altered state, right? Or with some help from what altered states we can from some substance, some plant medicine. I love that. They just used to call it drugs when I was around. But now it's plant medicine. So we are at an intersection in a reveal that has to do, and I think it does to some degree, have to do with AI. I suspect that what we're about is giving over the rational analytic to AI, and then we get to be present in our fullness of our true nature, which is the awareness of all of this wonder and magic stuff that is reality. The fun of it, right? But as this, going back to the me, which got installed very early on for all of us, and then because it's installed, it created the distortion field that we see reality through, and as seen, so appears. And now we have this intersection with the nature of reality is this consciousness. It is this awake awareness. And that's the nature of the quantum field. And so our connection to that is that we inform it, and it says yes, right? We inform it, I'm not good enough, and it says, that's right, you're not. It's like, and so who I am being to myself is at the heart of the matter of how my reality shows up. Our job is to know ourselves as the awake awareness. In order to get there, we have to dispel all of the attachment to our me, to the person that got created with the limitation that was a conclusion. I think sometimes it's pre-verbal, but for sure by the time you're 3 years old, something's been reinforced. Mommy didn't pick you up from kindergarten on time. You believed you were all alone. Things would never be better. You were distraught. You were despairing. Right? And from that place, you have now a distortion lens through which you see reality, which is information into the field. Is this, you getting this? It's like, this is a cosmic joke of some kind, right? It's like, really? That's the way it works. And so we are looking to undo, to peel back those conclusions that have been that have created the distortion field of I'm not good enough, I don't matter, things never work out for me. And as we clear that, we're in a direct connection with our true nature. Our true nature is the awake awareness, right? Expressed through a body-mind unit with our gifts and talents, our preferences for music, or for literature, or for friendship, whatever, right? But we are free and clear of that distortion of that early wounding. When that occurs, you have the experience of being awakened, what we call awakened. You're awakened to your true nature. And that, again, to complete this metaphor, is a clear lens. This is a perceptual reality. We perceive it. We either perceive it through the limitation of our conclusion, which shows up then as a world of limitation and difficulty, or the lens is cleared because we've cleared out that early wounding pattern. And we do it here through something called the 6 steps to freedom process. When that's clear, then it's like in the Bible, it says through a glass darkly, but then face to face. So we're facing now our true nature as awareness, arising as a reality that's for us. It's for the fun of it. My favorite F word, fun. So it's like, so we get to have this experience of true nature, but not as long, the power of who we are as true nature is the power that creates the distortion field that then shows up as a limited, unhappy, unproductive, not enough, not good enough person. So what we're in the business of doing here is to dispelling the me that got created by I'm not good enough, I don't matter, so that we are now connected to our true nature as the awareness in which realities show up. And those realities will correspond to that true nature, which is love and connection and peace, ease, everything that we aspire to, we are already that, but there is this lens, this distortion field of our wounded conclusion. We have a kind of perverse commitment to that wounded identity, don't we? I always say you can have a shitty ass ugly baby, but it's yours. It's like, look at my baby here, right? So we have these limited fear-based identities, but it's like Popeye, that's I am what I am, limited, fear-based, right? And so that we have to be willing to let go of, to give up what has been the illusion, compelling as it is. See, it's a very kind of strange dynamic, isn't it? Because if you believe it, you will create it. It's like, believe it, hell, I can prove it. I've had multiple relationships, none of them have worked. I've never had enough money. I have kids that are on drugs and on the streets. I mean, we can prove it because of the distortion lens, not because of the nature of reality. It's because of who I have taken myself to be. That's the information that then shows up as a world. I think of it as a cosmic joke, but that's the way it works. So that's the good news, in a sense, that once we become aware of that, we can begin to undo, erase, dispel those limited self-conclusions. And we do that through being triggered. So when I get reactive to something that someone has done, I can use that to see what it was that I installed that was about me, that then created the distortion lens through which my reality showed up. It's just something else, isn't it? I mean, it just happened. You have to be in awe of the way all this goes.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is that we have 100% access to any limitation through being triggered. You never thought you would like the woman who's always putting you down, but now she's your salvation. She's the one that lets you know what you're believing about yourself. That's not true. If you're suffering, you're believing something that's not true. It's such a beautiful sense of our power, the potency that we have to inform, the potency that we have to shift reality. Right? That's the way it works. You create your own reality. We've heard that since decades, but we attributed it to the ego, and we're like, okay, I can go to Joe Dispenza, and I can go to what's his name, the big tall guy.
Tony.
Yeah, that one. And then I can do it. That's my motto now. I can do it. Well, the I that I believe can do it is the wounded one, right? It's like lots of luck with that. But the interesting thing is, because there is a polarity that informs this reality, we may be at the good end of the stick for long enough to have fooled ourselves, right? Guess what's happening? Have you ever noticed that when you believe you got it made, you really did it this time, it's all working out, that there's this underlying kind of doubt? It's like, is it really true? Is that really good? And so we have built into the polarity of this good end of the stick and the bad end of the stick. And so it can be confusing. But what we have to know is that if we have anything that we want to assert, like I'm really good, I got this, I'm on the right path, right? Or anything that we want to deny, I'm not good enough, I'll never make it, there's something wrong with me. We're going to create that. And we'll create it at this end of the stick and that end of the stick. It's one stick. When you pick up the stick, which is what our minds do, you've got both ends. So we are here to use the 6 steps to freedom process, which starts with being triggered, and then to see what it is that you concluded about yourself that got repressed, and then got created the distortion lens through which you perceive reality. That perception is the information into the quantum field that shows up as your world. Does this make sense to everybody? I can't see your faces.
Yes.
Okay, that's an agreement. Yes, so what we want to do today is to have people work using the 6 steps to deal with whatever's showing up for them that is not what they want. You have to start to tell yourself the truth. There's a real part of this song that is the unwillingness to continue to put sugar over shit. That you can, it doesn't do good to have a positive outlook. No, you've got to see what's underneath there, that you needed the positive outlook to not suffer with what's underneath there. That makes sense. So we can work with anybody who's interested in doing the 6 steps, or as all of you know, I can keep talking.
So if you're in the Zoom room, you can go ahead and either do the raise hand icon, or you can raise your hand. If I see you, I'll spotlight you. Or if you're in Robert's home, you can go ahead and raise your hand and yeah, Maura.
So Pali, I don't have a million triggers anymore these days, but I sure did get one that was upset on Monday.
Oh.
And but I've been sitting with it, and I just wanted to lay it on your lap to see if you could shine some light on it. Because I went to see the dermatologist on Monday, a new one. And all she did was find like all these different places that she has been facing surgery. It's precancerous cells, you've got these on your arms, we need a lot of appointments. And I'm going, I don't know if I should say, but it could kill you. And I'm over here going, she didn't quite say it that way, but you could tell that she wanted, I just felt like she wanted the business somehow. And yet I got this fear that these cancers might be real. And then that maybe I should be poked with needles for 2 weeks and see what happens. So I've just been sitting with it, and I wondered if you had some perspective on that.
Right, yeah, the fear is the issue, actually, so,
Yeah.
you know, if you can clear the fear, knowing that, you know, you're, like I always say, you're as dead now as you'll ever be. So you can let go of that one. And if you can clear the fear, then you can make a more, a choiceful decision about engaging with, the medical model.
Yeah, good idea.
If you can't clear the fear, then you're gonna be caught.
So I feel it's like, it's right underneath the surface.
Right, yeah, probably the reason that you made the appointment was the fear.
Right, and I put it off for so long, now I have myself to blame. And then I have to just share one other thing. I went over to my friend Sue's home last night, and she said, "Oh, you don't want to have all that surgery. You don't want that. You just want some noni leaves. That's all you need is some noni cream." So we go pick up the leaves from the tree, and I went home last night and I packed myself with noni leaves.
That can be smelly.
You know? Yeah, but it wasn't so bad. And I just had to laugh at myself. I thought, you know, I'm gonna put this at my next play, because just with noni leaves, as if it's gonna cure
Right.
precancerous cells. I don't know. It was very funny. So it helps to laugh.
Yeah, definitely, you know, there's always, and especially as we get older, the whole thing about the medical model has been such an aspect of the fear in the collective reality. Right, and then we're all subject to that
Exactly.
because we incarnated into this collective reality. The identification with the body is a part of our distorted idea of ourselves, right?
Right, exactly.
You have a body, you're not your body, right? And like I said, you know, you're as dead now as you'll ever be. You're gonna create something. It's like, you know, I mean, it's such a hint, isn't it, that we go to sleep at night and create an entire, it's like a Cecil B. DeMille movie, like with hordes of people and things that are happening and the adventure and all of it. And so the idea that consciousness doesn't create realities doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Right. I mean, once you have, you know, I have, as everybody in here knows, since I can't see you, I have macular degeneration, and my whole approach, and I had it after I woke up, I was diagnosed with it, but my whole approach is I treat this body mind unit the way I would a beloved pet. You know, I do whatever it is I think is best for it, right? But the idea that it needs saving or curing, I mean, and I don't want to impose my perspective on anybody. It's like you have to really be in touch with what's true for you. And when we have been, we've been programmed by the collective, the medical model, the food, all of that, as we come home to ourselves, no longer identified with the body mind unit, but knowing ourselves as awareness, we have more freedom. And from that place, there is wisdom and choicefulness.
Thank you for that, Pali. That is very helpful.
Good.
Truly helpful. I'm gonna go home and dance with my fears, do a little writing,
That's
see
right.
what they want.
Yeah, get out the noni.
Yeah.
Okay, we have Dana. Am I saying your name right? Oops, you're muted. You have to unmute.
Okay, I muted this. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Polly. I don't know if this, can you hear me? Dana.
Yes.
Lower my hand here. I don't know how this all fits into today, but it's coming up for me. I'm going to put my cat down in a couple of days, my beloved cat, and I'm curious, and I'm obviously in pain about it, and it's going to happen. So just to hold that in terms of consciousness, letting go. I mean, do you hold the death of an animal the same as you do as the death of a person? I need,
Right, yeah, the spirit of beingness that's incarnated here in whatever form, right? We identify mostly with, I call it the love of the two-armed form. We identify with the body-mind unit in a way, but clearly consciousness incarnates, especially with the pets that we have domesticated and that we have relational connection to. The choice, the idea that anything dies is what needs to be questioned. Because everything changes forms all the time. I mean, we act as if we're the same as we were when we were 5 years old, but we're not. You know, it's like the change in the form, and you've been with this cat for many, many years, and it's changed in many ways, and that's changing the projection. Right? That's what's happening in the projection. And so as you allow for that, and you are, anything that can be lost is not real. But that spirit of that precious pet of yours is real to you. And that real cannot be lost. That's the consciousness. I think it's in A Course in Miracles that says nothing that is real can be present. Nothing that is unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. Yeah, the real is real, and consciousness is that. And it's out of that everything emerges. And so, to take the step to free this precious one of yours from the limitation and probably the suffering of the physical body is your responsibility. And you'll probably have a sense of her being around after her body's gone. But sometimes they move on too. So I think it's to be kind to yourself and to know that whatever this issue is at this departure, that nothing is real, can be threatened. And this love that you and she share is real. And that's eternal, it's forever. And you had the fun of the physicality of this pet and your love of her all these years.
thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Dan. Anyone else?
It's so good that you're all awake.
No, I just.
Lily.
Lily, go.
Well, I have an upbeat report
All right.
because a couple of weeks ago, I got completely triggered that the Mexican guys were massacring my garden. And I did this 6 steps several ways. But what I got to was about 10 years old, being powerless and angry. And I worked with that for a while, and I worked with it with you here, for which I am so grateful, because now, 2 weeks later, the Mexican gardeners are gone, and I have a brilliant woman, way overqualified person to work with me as of today. I'm just ebullient with the joy. So it works. This works.
That's right. I often say this shit works and fast too. It's like the shift in perception. It's a shift in perception, right? And perception is reality. That's the nature of reality. And it's the fun of incarnation is what we get to once we're no longer identified with a fear-based me. And what incarnation is, what it's for, is for the experience of connection, the experience of apparently having an other. There are no others, right? But you have the idea and the experience of an other that you can connect to, right? That you have the physicality of interacting with, dancing with, having sex with, having a garden that you're loving it with, So it's like freeing ourselves up from the limiting idea of ourselves that we insist on, and then the quantum fields have got no choice. It's like, okay, you got it, right? It's like, okay. So it's such a relief to relax out of our minds into our hearts. That's the garden, that's our true nature. No polarity there, no fear there. It is the field of allowing. And it's all up like this, arising and looking like a beautiful garden. That's such good news, Lily.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
You said you did something on.
I mean, my thing is, sports.
Mm,
And,
it's an addiction.
it's a passion.
Oh, I love reframes.
And I'm just watching the up and down my team, Caitlin Clark. They win, they lose, she gets injured. I'm just like on the one hand, I'm starting to pull my particles back. On the other hand, I feel I wanna hurt the other team. Really, it brings up, betrayal, it brings up all kinds of feelings. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, I do believe that competitive sports was created because of these identities that we have, right? Right. It's like, no, she did it. No, yeah, that's like that. But Thad's book, The Drop, is about the high demand sports and the experience of that. And I do believe that the best example of experiencing our true nature has to do with the fun of, so when you watch the team, if you weren't bringing in your adversarial need to kill the other team, you would have the fun of the experience of that. But competitive sports, I think, typically have an underlying equation of wanting to destroy something, which appeals to ego identity. And so that when we have a sports and high achieving that we can watch or participate in, then we have the ultimate experience of the physicality, the fun of it. But the idea that somebody's wrong is sort of built into competitive team sports, I think.
I mean, part of, I'll spotlight myself so people on can see too. Part of what's interesting to me, is the rage. And going back to being a kid and feeling that much rage in these little bodies, feeling like I just wanted to, kill my mother, kill my brothers, or, just like destroy what was felt abusive or dominant or something like that. Unjust, right?
Right.
That's the poor thing I keep coming back to. So
It's not fair.
it's not fair, right?
Right.
Right, if it were fair, that'd be a different story, but it's not. They're mauling Caitlin Clark.
I can't believe
I know, it's really bad. And everybody knows it,
What do you?
including me, everybody knows it, they're writing about it, and
That's
they're
right.
doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
How old is that? Can you believe that?
It's not fair. Yeah, the whole thing about fairness and unfairness is the polarity that we carry out of our unwoundedness, right? So then it gets writ large on the stage of professional athletics, I think. You wouldn't have the fun of seeing Caitlin without the other team, by the way. So whatever they're doing, they're participating, and you're getting to see Caitlin in her glory.
She's wounded again, injured again.
She gets a rest.
Yeah, I guess I wanna untangle that.
Right, the issue has to do with the injustice, I suspect, and a feeling of the unfairness, and the whole thing is that it's like observing anything where you get magnetized into it with the strong preference, right? So that, can you imagine just before Caitlin Clark, you weren't involved in basketball, so what you were doing?
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry, yeah. Yeah, I know. And that wasn't fair either. But so it's like being able to observe that all of these teams that you're engaged in and watching is to allow that to be for the experience that you enjoy watching it and not be caught by your projection, which is what, and you could, if you're triggered by that, there's work to do. And I think that every child has some experience of injustice, right? I didn't get the toy I wanted at Christmas, or my big brother took my bike away, or we come in with this whole arena of possibilities of being mistreated. And then the identity for me has to do with some form of victim. If they didn't treat me right, it's not fair, I don't want that. And so it's the clearing of that as we start to see, and we're no longer caught by the distortion field of I'm not good enough, I don't matter. And as that clears, then it shows up. If you're watching the basketball then, which you may be, it would show up as the fun of the game. And the privilege that all of those women, in this case, at the WNBA, who want to play that game, get to do it. And you get to see it. And it's gonna be whatever it is. The freedom from your own woundedness will free you from projecting it onto Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I can see, her greatness is so heart-opening for me. And then her demise is so heartbreaking for me. So I just watched that,
Right.
and I'm like hoping for the heart opening. I'm hoping for the heart opening. Yeah.
Yeah, the attachment to outcome is a part of our me identity, what I call the me. I'm not good enough, I don't matter. And then we want to identify with something that keeps, that relieves us of that, like you said, the heart opening. Or we will have the other end of the stick of the demise, of the putting down. But all of that has to do with our identity as being a me. Yeah.
I mean, it sounds the same as life,
Yeah,
like looking at you know.
right. Yeah, and through the distortion lens of I'm a victim. That distortion lens is at the heart of the competitive sports arenas.
So would you say, whenever I see someone and feel like they've been victimized, then I'm identifying as my own, it's kind of like self-judgment, it's
For
like
sure, yeah,
self-victim.
right.
So what, I grew up thinking I was so compassionate because I was identifying with the poor and the, all the
Oh, yeah.
downtrodden and all of
Yeah,
that.
the bodhisattva approach to
So,
self-service, self as service. Yeah, the whole thing is when we feel victimized, and that's part of our distortion lens. If we project it onto others, then we will be pulled into the idea that we're here to save somebody else. There are no others, and you have to do the work here. That's your job. And when you've done it here, you'll find ways to that of service, if that's what you're called to do. But it's moot. It doesn't matter. Yeah, what happened, this gets into another whole area, but what happened is that when the fall occurred and we fell out of our hearts, which was our sense of connection and oneness in the garden to everything, when we fell out of our hearts and into our minds, we made up a heart with our mind. And the reason we can know that we did that is that heart has duality, it has a polarity to it. That hearts can see good and bad, and I need to offer this of service. Our true heart is the field of allowing. And the field of allowing is ever present and in response to whatever shows up. Now, what will show up when you're in your true heart is a world where it's for the fun of it. It's a world where connection is going to be natural and occurring, right? So the true heart is one where there's no polarity. And that's our true nature. And so when we get out of the polarity of I'm not good enough or I'm the best thing that ever happened, then we are in the expression of our true heart. And that occurs with the awakening. And we're waking up out of an idea that I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me, and into our true nature as awareness. That is the heart. That is the field of allowing. Everything we needed to know, we learned from the Beatles. Love is all there is, and let it be. Let it be.
Thank you.
It's all for fun, lighten up. I can help her.
I can't help her. She needs me.
You should just write her a fan letter.
I know.
No.
No. All righty. How are we doing with time?
We have about 13 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, fine. Oh, somebody on the Zoom?
Chandri.
Chandri, okay, great, Chandri.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
So my therapist, Susan Frieder, suggested I come to you, so thank you very much. My two daughters are fighting. My younger daughter is turning 40 and she was coming out to Maui, which is where we live, to celebrate her birthday. And my older daughter has, you know, a 2-year-old toddler and a husband, and she's building a business. And my younger daughter is finally becoming a little bit successful, designed a clothing line. She was coming out here for her birthday, which is, you know, wonderful. And I haven't seen her in over a year, and I'm so excited about seeing her and spending time with her partner, whom I've met twice for 2 hours. So here's this wonderful thing. And then my older daughter has this business thing in Vancouver that was supposed to end on a certain date, but now maybe she'll extend it because she'll get another business thing, and which interferes with Ari's timing and birthday. And now they're calling each other names, and my younger one's going, Athena, it's always all about you. And my older daughter's going, you're crazy. And I you know, I do have a therapist, and she does tell me to, you know, stay out of this. But I can't really be out of it because she's coming to see me. And
Right.
my younger daughter with her partner, and I just cannot understand why these two beautiful, incredibly talented women, my daughters, can't get along.
Right.
Can't get along. I mean, they fight like cats and dogs, and it's just, I don't know. Susan said, you know, maybe it's triggering, you know, my relationship with my father, who was, you know, powerful and a big deal on the outside, and on the inside, he was sexually molesting his children. You know, I don't know what it's triggering for me, but it is really triggering for me.
Yeah,
And
you're triggered by their dissension, right? By their
Yeah.
conflict.
yeah, like why
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. Why can't we just be happy and not be fighting about you said and you're the important one and you never make space for me.
Right, but what we do know is that what is what is, and they're not getting along, right? So,
Correct.
so you're triggered by them not getting along, yeah?
Right, right, right.
So I'm triggered, and the next step in our 6 steps is it's about me. Make sense to you, Susan?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's about me.
Right, yeah, and what is it, what are the feelings around that? What does it make you feel like that they're fighting, that they're in opposition to each other?
Really angry.
And
Really angry. I haven't been this angry in a while. Really angry that, you know, that, you know, that they can't, you know, that they can't both compromise a little bit, you know, and wind up name calling. And it's just, you know, one calling, I mean, really terrible names. And I just, I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. And to do nothing, I mean, I can't do nothing because she's coming to see me, I think. I don't know if it's gonna happen now, uh. I mean, I know it's about me and what it's triggering in me, and my modus operandi has always been, okay, I'll make it better. Mommy will kiss the boo-boo and make it better. But they're 40 and 43 now, so it's no more kissing the boo-boo.
Right.
And I
Yeah. So just one thing is that typically, this is not always true, but typically anger is a secondary emotion that is underpinned by some level, which you just expressed, of hurt or not understanding, a feeling of being like flummoxed by this whole thing. That so we need to get to and what's underneath the anger is just your
well, and feeling as a failure as a parent.
a feeling like failure.
I mean, I spend so much time, trying to be a wonderful parent coming from a very unhappy background.
Mhm.
And my husband and I really made efforts, and
Mhm.
it just, yeah, I think that's one thing. It really makes me feel like a failure.
So when using that feeling of feeling like a failure, of being flummoxed by all of this, using those feelings, just free associate, what's the earliest time you can remember feeling those same feelings?
Well, I mean, probably in school, although I did very well in school, but if I got 99, I wanted to get 100. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I never forgave myself for failing anything.
Right, yeah, yeah. So what happened when you concluded I'm a failure, right? When you were in school and you weren't doing it at the top, what you expected of yourself, you concluded something about yourself. What I heard you say was you concluded I'm a failure.
Well, for me, school was, an escape from,
You were good at it, yeah,
it was an escape.
right.
I don't know, maybe I was, I was most likely to succeed. Maybe I wanted to be most likely to succeed with a crown.
Right.
Just never enough for me,
Exactly. Right. So in this model that we're using right now, that got installed. Your sense of I'm never good enough. I've never I'm some kind of failure. I didn't get the crown with the most likely to succeed. I'm some kind of failure. That correlates to the aspect of this work that has to do with a distortion through which you see reality. There's a lens of I didn't make the top notch. I'm a failure. There's something that got installed within your consciousness about yourself. And so when that got installed, that's the way you see the world. At this point, with this issue, you're seeing it being a failure that your two daughters are in conflict.
Yeah, it just kind of, it reminds me,
Sure, yeah. The belief that I'm a failure is what we want to put the light on now so that you can dispel that conclusion, right? We're clearing the lens of perception. When you concluded I'm a failure, that got it.
and powerless.
Right.
That's the, I can't make it better. I can't.
That's right. So I'm powerless and I'm a failure. Right. That's what got installed. You believe that it means something about you, this dynamic between the two of them.
Yeah, and I don't know what to do. Just totally step out of it and let them claw at each other, or
I would vote for that. Yeah. Yeah, that would be my choice.
Separate.
well, finally, my daughter, the phone call started at like 8:30 in the morning, and by the time, the last phone call, my older daughter, I don't need this in my life, blah 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 blah. I just said to her, you know what, Athena, it's too much anger.
Yeah.
Goodbye. I don't want to hear anymore. Goodbye.
Yeah,
I just-
exactly.
enough.
Yeah, you can let others have whatever they have, right? The reason that you're magnetized into it is because of the self-concept that you've had or since early in your incarnation. So you let go of the idea of you're a failure, that they're doing whatever they're doing and they're gonna do it. But in terms of who you're being, you choosing peace for yourself. I forgive myself for ever having believed I'm a failure. The forgiveness is like this cleansing of the lens of perception. And this field of allowing them, I was pointing to earlier, is the field of letting things be whatever they are. You believe that you know what they are between them. And to a certain degree, you do, right? But I mean, it really is, as if we go back to Byron Katie, right? It's really not your business. I had the awakening at 70 that has informed my work since then, which was how many years ago? 16. 16 years ago. And it was like to see that one of Byron Katie's admonitions was, if you're suffering, you're believing something that's not true. And in that moment, I believed that I was responsible for my son and my sister's well-being, very similar to what you're describing with your daughters. And I saw that I was suffering because I believed it was my responsibility. It wasn't. It dropped away and I was awake to my true nature. You're believing something that's not true. You're believing that you're a failure because they're fighting, or some facet of that. Your inclination in that phone call was spot on, but you have to clear it within your own consciousness. I forgive myself for ever having believed that I'm a failure, or that it's my responsibility to make things, in this case with my daughters, okay? I know who I am. I am the awake awareness in which realities arise. This reality is whatever is arising is just what's happening. It doesn't mean anything about you, but that lens of I'm a failure is what you're actually dealing with right now. And that's what magnetizes you into this issue. And the forgiveness is the way out. But you're in.
I think that's it. I think that's why it just feels so deep for me.
Yeah, it is deep for you because at that deep level, you believe that it's up to you, that you could or should do something about it. That's what you're letting go of. That's what the forgiveness does. I forgive myself for believing they are adult women. They're doing whatever they're doing. Are you willing to let them do whatever they're doing?
I don't know what choice I have. I mean,
Good point. Exactly. Thank you. Yeah. So now we're at the precipice of letting go of it, right? And that letting go is your own open heart for yourself, right? This resistance you have to what's going on between them, your body takes the hit of that. It's sometimes called autoimmune issues, but the shit happens when you're not clear for yourself first. And then in that spaciousness of that clarity, your world shows up differently. They might not stop fighting, but you can stop giving a shit about whether they fight or not, right? You can do this.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, the brilliance of letting something be, you can't do it to get it, to clarify, but when you do it, you're playing the greatest part you can play in its resolve.
and letting them work it out or not.
Never, yeah, or not, or, yeah. Yeah. It's a high bar, but it's for you. It's important to do this for yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Yeah. That's a good one.
Thank you, everyone. We are at the bottom of the hour now, and so I'm asking everyone to stay in silence. If you need to talk, please go outside, and we'll just take a minute to rearrange and go into. No. meditation. So we'll go ahead and settle. We'll go ahead and begin.
We close our eyes, and in that closing our eyes, we go inward into the spacious awake awareness that is our true nature. This is where meditation occurs. This is where the relaxing out of our mind and into our heart is experienced. The awakening is in this space, this awake awareness that is the one I am, and so it is.
And a reminder, there's a donation basket at the door. Most people.